Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to watch the varsity POI final round. We're really excited for all of you to see this, and I'm going to hand things over to our judges.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to start with our first speaker. Other judges, are we ready?
Ready.
Ready.
All right.
Let me tell you a story. There once was a tree and she loved a little boy. And every day the boy would come and he would climb up her trunk. He would gather her leaves and swing off her branches. And when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. The boy loved the tree very much. And the tree was happy.
My whole life I've been an overgiver. My general operating policy has always been, if it belongs to me, don't worry, you can have it. Over the years, I've given my stuff, my time, my money, hell, my body. You name it, I've given it. Especially towards people I met yesterday at the gas station. We often hear that if we could be a little more selfless, the world would be a much better place. And the old saw is true, for the most part. But there is such a thing as being too selfless. What starts as a genuine desire to make a difference in someone's life can morph into pathological giving. You leaving the user feeling wrung out or resentful, and often hurting or offending the intended recipients. You people act like I'm your doormat. All you do is walk all over me, and then I turn around and you're gone. There are hardly any thank yous, never any apologies, and then you come to me with your problems as if I have a major in psychology. I'm fine with being the advice giver, the listener, the hostess, but when you people take me advantage, when you take me for granted, here are the things I end up being. The rumor victim, the dollar giver, and somehow the pushover. Little red hen of the family. Always picked up the slack. Others let things go gladly, knowing that she had their back. Since birth, we're often taught that the best way to be recognized and liked is to be kind and give to others. Many more have found that when they give, they manage to make more friends and have more people admire them. I know personally that this is an easy trap to fall into and a hard one to get out of. But when you give, you can find that your life can spiral down, and your idea and resentment of other people not giving equally tends to shut you out of circles. This has to stop. And so, through the prose, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, the poetry, Little Red Hen by Pink Fairy, Confessions of a Doormat by Victoria Fong, and articles from Oprah.com, Psychology Today, and the Church of Jesus Christ. The Giving Tree, a program, so that we can learn how to grow stronger instead of cutting ourselves down. Now, overgiving is not quite the same thing as generosity. Generosity is neither entangling nor aggressive because the generous person doesn't expect anything in return. And the overgiver doesn't expect anything in return either. You have to be petted and feted and loved and praised unconditionally for all of time, and I was, so there's nothing emotionally loaded there, right? Not toxic at all. Look carefully at your motivations. Are you giving because you genuinely want to, or out of externally influenced obligation? Helping acts in which the helper, him or herself, is not fully invested in those types of acts are often the ones that lead to burnout and resentment.
And time went by, and the boy grew older. Then eventually the boy came to the tree and said, I am too old to climb and play. I want to buy things and have fun. Can you give me some money? I am sorry, said the tree. I have no money. But you can gather my apples and sell them at the market, and then you will have money. So the boy gathered her apples and took them away. And the tree was happy.
Our eternal destiny is to wield our service to others. Happiness can only be attained by serving. We cannot live in happiness if we attempt to live alone. Self-imposed celibacy and isolationism are extreme expressions of selfishness. Little red hen of the family fixed everything she could and more, taking care of them gladly, aiding in their bad decisions galore. Look, for most of my life, my giving problem was contained. But then I wrote this book called Eat, Pray, Love, which sold about a bajillion copies and transformed me overnight into instantaneous wealth, and giving me the opportunity to overgive. I was like an alcoholic locked in a distillery. What wonderful luck! And so, of course, I went on a full octane overgiving bed. I paid off my friends' credit card bills, caught them up on their mortgages, bought them tuition, therapy, gym memberships, vehicles, and sometimes, well, twice, I even bought them houses.
But then later, The day the boy came back and the tree shook with joy. And the boy said, I want a wife and I want children. So I need a house. Can you give me a house? I have no house, said the tree. I have only the leaves on my back in this forest. But here, take my branches and take them away to build a house, and then you will be happy. And so the boy gathered her branches and took them away. And the tree was happy.
Little red hen of the family, ensuring that they would never grow up, taking care of any problem they had, turning them each into a dependent pup. But you people only treat me like your doormat, and I still love you anyway. But it gets annoying when I come to school with $5, and by the time the nutrition bell rings, I have none. It's not me spending those dollars, believe you me. And you know why that is? It's because you know I'm too kind. Too generous. My given bonanza was joyful and empowering. I was a dream facilitator, an obstacle banisher, a life transformer. In short, giving money to my friends was so much fun. Until it wasn't. Until suddenly I didn't have some of those friends anymore.
And then the boy stayed away for a long time. And when he came back, the tree whispered, Come and play. I am too old and sad to play, said the boy. I want a boat to sail me away from here. Can you give me a boat? I have no boat, but you can cut off my trunk and make a boat, sail away and be happy. So the boy cut off her trunk and sailed away. And the tree was happy. But not really.
But you people don't care, because I'm just a doormat. I'm the person you use because I'm the pushover. But you people don't care for this little doormat. So I'm nothing that you people value at. Little red hen of the family worked 6 hours or more, sacrificing all her time gladly until she ate her own gun. At 3:45, when I lost my friends, it was because I used the power of giving on them recklessly. I swept them through lives with my big fat checkbook and erased years of obstacles for them overnight, but sometimes in the process, I also erased years of dignity. By interrupting his biographical narrative so jarringly, I erased my friend's opportunity to learn at their own pace. In all, when I believed I was a dream facilitator, I was actually a destiny disruptor. All I know is the friendships withered away under mutual discomfort. And now we cross the street to avoid running into each other. I'm the one who will help you with your issues, whatever they may be, but when you act like I'm always right, like I'm always sure, like my endings are always happy, and you never show me the same kind of awareness, kindness, or fairness. You hardly ever treat me with the same kind of dignity, and I'm not saying that I want you people to stop asking me for help, but next time, try doing it for yourself. Don't always look to other people for answers, especially if it's for homework or someone to take money from, because you never know if they'll be there. And sometimes they may be even more done. And so, I don't do it anymore. Don't get me wrong, but a watershed is a very delicate ecosystem, and I try to keep it in check. The other day, I was in New York subway station watching a woman struggle to make her outdated Metro card work. I just showed her how the system worked, how to buy a new Metro card, add credit, and swipe it. I just gave her my time and attention and went on my way. It was a simple exchange, but I think it made both of us feel good. I was tempted to buy her a house, mind you, but I talked myself out of it. Now, try to only give until it helps. Not until it hurts. And after that, not a penny more. You shouldn't feel bad saying no to someone's request if helping will cause undue mental, financial, or physical strain or otherwise. While leading a selfless life is one of the greatest gifts you can give others and yourself, you need to foster your own well-being and time at the same time.
And so, after a long time, the boy came back again. I'm sorry, boy, said the tree, but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone, my branches are gone, my trunk is gone. I am sorry. beside the tree. "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just an old place to sit and rest. I am very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening itself as much as she could, "an old trunk is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit." And he did. And the tree was happy.
Thank you.
Video number 2. Are we ready?
Ready.
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 First, they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me. There's no one left to speak out for me. In 1932, my great-grandfather migrated from Poland to America. He had to leave behind a significant portion of his family and their way of life. Thankfully for me, this was before the Holocaust, and my family's line was able to continue, and we were able to practice our traditions. Unfortunately, for many European Jews, this was not the case. With poems from Martin Niemöller, selections from the book We Were the Lucky Ones by Georgia Hunter, excerpt from the chapter Why Do People Hate Jews from the book Tough Questions Jews Ask by Rabbi Edward Feinstein, poetry from Franta Boss, oath from Abram Schwansky, an account from Chai Blitzer, and prayer from the Mishkat Tefillah. We begin with silence. The silence of death. Those who ventured out risked being harassed, humiliated, and beaten. Bella left only once to collect some milk and some bread for her family, and she detoured to the nearest Polish grocery when she realized the Jewish market that she so often used to frequent had been ransacked and closed. She kept her head down. She walked with a quick and purposeful stride. Yet on the way home, she had to step around a scene that would haunt her for weeks. A rabbi, surrounded by soldiers, arms pinned behind his back, soldiers laughing as the rabbi struggled in vain to free himself. And it wasn't until Bella had passed around the scene that she realized with a sickening start that the rabbi's beard was lit on fire. The silence after destruction, when songs falter. Everywhere she looks, giant red swastika banners, billboards saying Judaism is criminality, depicting hideous characters of hook-nosed Jews. Windows painted over with the same four-letter word as if Yudah were some kind of curse rather than a part of her identity, a part of any person's identity. Before she would have called herself a mother, a wife, or an accomplished pianist. She was now simply nothing more than Yudah. When darkness fills life. A little garden filled with fragrant roses. A sweet little garden. The path is narrow, and down it walks a little boy. A sweet little boy, sweet like those blooming flowers. And when those flowers begin to bloom, the little boy will be no more. There was fighting and bombing. The Germans, they dropped loads of bombs. I saw people die. I saw terrible things. But no, I didn't manage to hurt anyone. When martyrdom becomes a constellation of faith, against the unrevealed black space about us. My father, Henrik Blitzen, owned a huge men's clothing store in Berlin, and he had his whole life to build up this store. And yet he has to tell me the story of how it was looted and utterly destroyed on the night of Kindschaft. The police hunted for him, my mother, and my 2 sisters to deport them to a concentration camp. But thankfully, a righteous Gentile risked his life to hide them in his attic until we were able to migrate to America. On Kindschaft, my uncle was rounded up with other Jews and deported to a concentration camp where they were murdered. My grandparents, 5 aunts and uncles in Berlin, were later deported to concentration camps where they were murdered. My mother was the sole survivor of her family. Shattered like the glass of Kindschaft was my family. There are no words to reach beyond the edge of night, no messenger to tell the tale. There is only silence. Over the past 2,000 years, Jews have been exiled from their homeland, experienced hatred, discrimination, exclusion, murderous riots, forced conversions, and genocidal holocausts. Millions of Jews have been murdered for the sole crime of being Jewish. Why? Many believe it to be the Jews' own fault. They'll say the Jews wouldn't have suffered if they weren't so separate, cliquish, different. If they weren't so eager to become just like us and join our society. If they weren't so pushy. If they weren't so passive. So into religion, so into money. If they weren't so cheap. If they weren't so charitable. If they weren't so nosy, so standoffish, so liberal, so conservative, if they weren't so loud, if they weren't so quiet, if they weren't so sneaky, if they weren't so in your face, they would not have suffered if they weren't so Jewish. The silence of a mob. The silence of 6 million. In the presence of eyes which have witnessed the slaughter, which saw the oppression the heart couldn't bear. As a witness, the heart once taught compassion, until the days came to pass that crushed that once human feeling. I have taken an oath to remember it all, to not forget not one thing to the last generation when degradation shall cease, to the last to its ending, when the rod of instruction shall have come to a conclusion, an oath, not in vain passed over the night of terror, an oath. No morning shall see me at flesh pots again. An oath. Least from this, we have learned nothing. The silence of a memory. Let us remember them as we link our silences.
All right. Video number 3.
My dream was to be an actress. And it's true that I never saw anybody who looked like me in television or in films. And sure, my friends and family and teachers all constantly warned me that people like me didn't make it in Hollywood. But I was an American. I had been taught to believe that anyone could achieve anything, regardless of the color of their skin. The fact that my parents immigrated from Honduras, the fact that I had no money. I didn't need my dream to be easy, I just needed it to be possible. When I was 15, I got my first professional audition. It was for cable subscriptions or bail bonds. I don't really remember. What I do remember is the casting director asked me, could you do that again? Just this time, sound more Latina. Oh, okay, so you want me to do it in Spanish? No, just, do it in English. Just, sound Latina. Well, I am Latina, so isn't this what Latina sounds like? There was a long and awkward silence until finally, okay, sweetie, never mind, thanks for coming in, bye. Took me most of the car ride home to realize I sound more Latina. He was asking me to speak in broken English. And I couldn't figure out why the fact that I was an actual, real-life, authentic Latina didn't really seem to matter. In America, for generations, this country has accepted everyone of every background. But what does that acceptance truly look like? With talks by America Ferrera, books by Sandra Cisneros, and songs by Christina Aguilera, the Latin American. In English, my name means hope. In Spanish, it means too many letters. It means sadness. It means waiting. It's like the number 9, muddy color. It's the Mexican records my father plays on Sunday mornings when he's shaving. Songs like Sobbing. It was my great-grandmother's name, and now it is mine. She was a horsewoman, too. Born like me in the Chinese Year of the Horse, which is supposed to be bad luck if you're born female, but I think this is a Chinese lie, because the Chinese, like the Mexicans, don't like their women strong. I didn't get the job. I didn't get a lot of jobs people were willing to see me for. The gangbanger's girlfriend, the sassy shoplifter, pregnant chola number 2. These were the kinds of roles that existed for someone like me. Someone they looked at and saw as too brown, too fat, too poor, too unsophisticated. These were stereotypes and couldn't be farther from my own reality or the roles I dreamt of playing. Whenever I did try to get a role that wasn't a poorly written stereotype, I would get things like, oh, I'm sorry, but we're not looking to cast this role diversely, or we love her, but she's too specifically ethnic, or I'm sorry, we already have one Latino in this movie. And I kept receiving the same message again and again, that my identity was an obstacle I had to overcome. So I did. I worked my hardest to overcome all the things people said were wrong with me. I stayed out of the sun so my skin wouldn't get too brown. I straightened my curls into submission. I bought fancier, more expensive clothing so that when people looked at me, they wouldn't see a too fat, too brown, too poor Latina. They would see what I was capable of, and maybe, just maybe, it would give me a chance. A couple of years ago, my manager called to explain to me why I wasn't getting a role in a movie. He said, they love you, and they really, really do want to cast diversely, but the movie isn't financeable until they cast the white role first. He delivered this message with a broken heart and a tone that conveyed, I understand how messed up this is. It was my grandmother's name, and now it is mine. My great-grandmother. I would have liked to have known her. A wild horse of a woman so wild, she wouldn't marry. Until my great-grandfather threw a sack over her head and carried her off. Just like that. As if she were a fancy chandelier. That's how he did it. And the story goes, she never forgave him. She sat by the window her whole life. The way some women rest their sadness on an elbow. I wonder if she made the best with what she got, or if she was sorry because she couldn't be all the things she wanted to be. I have inherited her name, but I do not want to inherit her place by the window. Just like hundreds of times before, I felt the tears roll down my face and the pang of rejection rise up inside me. Then the voice of shame scolding me, you are a grown woman. Stop crying over a job. I went through this process for years of accepting the failure as my own and then feeling the deep shame of not being able to overcome the obstacles. But this time I heard a new voice. One that understood my tears and my pain were not about losing a job. They were about what was actually being said about me. What had been said about me my whole life by producers and directors and executives and writers and agents and managers and teachers and friends and family. That I was a person of less value. It's just the way it is. Maybe it's never going to change, but I got a right to speak my mind. And they're gonna hate me, and I'm gonna pay for this. They're gonna burn me at the stake, but I got a fire in my veins. I wasn't meant to fall in line. No, it wasn't meant to fall in line. I realized at that moment that I was never actually asking the system to change. I was asking it to let me in. And those are not the same thing. I couldn't change what the system believed about me when I believed what the system believed about me. And I, like everyone around me, believed that it wasn't possible for me to exist in my dream as I was. And I went about trying to make myself invisible. I am just one of millions of people who have been told that in order to contribute my talents to the world, I have to resist the truth of who I am. I, for one, am ready to stop resisting and start existing as my true and authentic self.
Okay, so we are video 4.
Oh my goodness, thank you, 'Cause the last time I was here, I caused a little bit of trouble. But what the problem is, they don't know that I was holding back. But not tonight, baby. Tonight, I'ma say something. I am black before woman in February, woman before black on Sundays, queer before black on Pride Day. My blacks posted up, sniper ready, perched on the balcony of my mouth. My queer is only allowed in my house when my daddy ain't home. Mama, me and Sean was just arguing about homosexuality. Oh, well, Sean says that they're sick, but I say that they're sinners. Who's right, Mama? Well, Gina Lois, actually, you're both right. They're sick sinners. I always knew that I wasn't heterosexual, which is not to say it wasn't much of an issue. I acted boy crazy. I just never felt it in my soul. There were no guides for our particular struggles, which often included being kicked out of our homes. My lover is a woman, and when I hold her, I feel warm. I feel safe. Then I never think about my family's voices. I never hear my sisters saying bulldaggers, queers, funnies, you can come see us, but don't bring your friend. The reluctance to discuss homophobia in the Black community has long been the cause of the silencing, ostracizing, and unacknowledgement of queer Black women. In a world where racism continues to remain prevalent, the Human Rights Campaign explains that queerness is often seen as a weakness in the Black home, for fear that it will further damage the position of Black Americans in a systemically racist country. For queer Black women living at the intersection of racism, sexism, and anti-queerness, the lack of acceptance in spaces from the Black home to the LGBT+ community has caused us to be 8.4 times more likely to commit suicide than any other demographic. During a time where unity in the Black community is more important than ever, it is time to address the stigma around Black female queerness that continues to take the lives of our mothers and sisters. So, through the prose, Coffee Will Make You Black by April Sinclair, Scratching the Surface by Audre Lorde, and Zammy by Audre Lorde, When They Call You a Terrorist by various authors, and Across the Kitchen Table by Barbara and Beverly Smith. The poetry My Lover is a Woman by Pat Parker, and I Am Black Before Woman in February by Crystal Valentine. And the drama, I'ma Be Me by Wanda Sykes. Love your sisters. A program. Because the love of the Black community can only maintain its strength when it is extended to all of us. A lot of changes, man. I got a lot of personal changes going on in my life. I got married, yup, and I had to publicly come out when all that happened. I had to do that because it was like, yay! Now I'm a second-class citizen. What the hell? I was just up here. Now I'm back down here. Because as a Black woman, at the least as a Black woman, I could do whatever, marry whoever. But as a gay Black woman, even lower. I remember how being young, Black, and gay felt. A lot of it was purely hell. There were no mothers, no sisters, no heroes. And in the gay bars, I longed for other Black women. For 400 years in this country, Black women have been taught to view each other with deep suspicion. It was no different in the gay world. Black women are more vulnerable to homophobic attack because we don't have any privilege to fall back on if someone decides to start a smear campaign against us. It's always heterosexual privilege the last to go. We don't have any of the other privileges. And I think about it. It is harder being gay than it is being black, because I did not have to send my parents down and tell them, Mom, Dad, I gotta tell you something. Well, I hope you still love me. I'm just gonna say it. Mom, Dad, I'm black. What? What did she just say? Oh, Lord, she did not say black. Anything but black, Lord. Did she just say black? Oh, Lord, Jesus, Father God, anything but black. Give her cancer, Lord. Give her cancer. No. No, you know what? You but hang around black people, and they got you thinking that you black. Along my path, I had Naomi. She was my cousin and touchstone, and she held me close even at one of the hardest moments of her own life, when she came out. And even though in our family there's a pretty broad acceptance of queer people, Naomi's mother was not one of those people. And when Naomi comes out, it sends her over the edge into full-on abuse. So, Mama, what about the women? They're pathetic creatures too. That's why they call them queer. They don't do what normal people would do. Women like that can never be happy. They live sad, lonely, and tormented lives. And they're doomed to eternal hellfire and damnation. Most black lesbians are closeted, recognizing the many immediate threats to our survival as black people in a racist society. My lover's hair is soft. Like 1,000 fingers touch my skin. And I feel warm. I feel safe. Then I never think about the little boy who spat in my face and called me the N-word. I never think about the policeman who kicked my body and said crawl. I never think about the black bodies in trees or filled with bullet holes. It is hard enough to be black and female. But to be black, female, and gay is considered by many black lesbians to be simply suicidal. Naomi's mother explodes when she finds out her daughter has come out. Early morning during track practice in the 9th grade, Naomi's mother burst upon a scene. Some days I go to sleep a black woman and wake up in a casket. Some days I go to sleep a queer woman and wake up with my queer burning on the other side of the mattress. Some days it's my black holding the mat. She grabbed her daughter right there on the track and began beating her until they were able to pull her off. My black, queer, and woman could all be murdered in the same ditch and think that they'll attend different funerals. This is what it means to be a queer black woman. The police hate us. Schools don't give a damn about us. It is not a time when love is a movement coming to rescue us. Don't be about this life when even family can tell you to go to hell. When we walk the streets and hold hands, I remember every word said to me, every deed done to me, and then I hate. But then I look at her and I just hold her hand tighter. It is not a choice. It is not a choice. It is not a choice. And so if you believe that being gay is a choice, then you're saying that straight people are straight because they chose not to be gay, right? I love being out. Just everything out on the table. That's it. I'm just happy about it.
All right. Sorry about that. On to video number 5.
In the heart of a gray city, there lived a girl who loved to paint. And because of this, the girl painted a glowing sun onto the wall, hiding in the shadows. What are you? I was encircled by kids at my suburban Maryland elementary school, where most students fell neatly into the categories of black or white. When I replied confidently that I was Indian, the other children started chanting and doing a mock Native American brave dance. I was more puzzled than offended. I didn't yet know that the question would be a running theme in my life. What are you? I was the only one at school hiding my breath with Scullion accent, mouthing words to prayers I didn't understand. Tameva mata cha pita tameva tameva bandhu cha sakha tameva. The girl dipped the brush into the loudest color she saw, and the wall lit up like sunshine. Shadows scurried away, sky blue cut through the gloom. For those of you who don't understand a person of color's obsession with race and identity, let me point this out. For the past 5 years, whole cities across the country have been roiled up by police shootings of unarmed men and women, some believed targeted for their skin color. Looks mattered. Why does it matter? I'm American and I'm brown. The girl added one more bird way up in the sky. Her city was less gray, but not much. Maybe, she thought, just maybe, when you get to a place where the world is your canvas, that's huge. According to National Geographic, in recent years, South Asians have been one of the fastest growing immigrant groups in the United States. About 80% of this demographic is Indian, and by that, I don't mean Native Americans or indigenous people. I mean skin ranging from Latinos to Africans, expectations similar to those of typical East Asian families, and the mother tongue of languages mirroring those in the Middle East. We as Indians have been taught to satisfy all of life's challenges, but at times this move on and move forward mindset has allowed for the creation of stereotypes in our greater society. I, for one, have been told that I was the wrong type of brown, too intelligent to fit in with the Latinos and Africans, and too dark-skinned to fit in with the fair Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, and Vietnamese. But the truth is, there's so much more to all of these minority groups that we don't always see from a broader perspective. As we follow the stories of a young girl who learns that with the acceptance of all cultures, races, backgrounds, and religions comes a sense of unity and the ability to light up a city with colors. We understand that everyone has their own stories, but the best stories result in becoming one altogether. So, through the prose, maybe something beautiful, how art transformed a neighborhood, and so you want to talk about race. The poetry, Blue Madonna, the children of immigrants, if they should come for us, having it out with melancholy, and evening prayers. The song, True Colors, and various articles from the Washington Post, USA Today, and National Geographic. This is All Types of Brown, a program. Because it doesn't matter who we are or where we come from. What matters is how we all grow together. I'm one of many second-generation South Asian Americans, predominantly of Indian heritage. Their success represents a significant milestone in the integration of South Asian descent into American society. Among my peers, I existed somewhere in between mysterious and dorky. The popular kids greeted me in the hallways, but they never invited me to their beer-drenched parties at home. I was a bridge, a cultural interpreter, a spokesperson, a trusted ally, but I don't remember the translation. Never really sure I knew it. Said a section of Our Father in the middle of the Aarti, and an Amen when I meant Krishna. Krishna not sure when to kneel and when to touch someone's feet with my hands. I watched the hair grow dark on my legs and hated it, longed for it to disappear. In the mirror, I called myself another. The next day, the girl saw a man with a pocket full of paintbrushes. looked at her son. He held his fingers up and peered through them. Who are you? I'm an artist, a muralist. I paint on walls. What do you see? I see my compass is brown and gold and blood. My compass, an Indian teenager, snapbacks and high tops, gracing the subway platform. My name means it all. Holiness, God, evenings, praying to a closet. At school, I longed for a name that was easy on the mouth. Elisa or Julie. Brown hair and freckles, not skin the color of settled dust. A name you could press lips to, press lips against. American names. The man smiled wide and pulled everything together in big sweeping motions. His paintbrush was like a magic wand. My parents gave up everything to inherit American dreams. When I was 16, my father called me on the phone to ineffably weep. He says, living in this country, I have learned not to hope for it. You are my only hope. Only you. She dipped a brush into the paint. What do you see? Maybe something beautiful. The names, the prayers, fitting words into my mouth as if they belonged. Ram, Ram, and Alleluia, Bhagwan, God the Father. Thy will be done, O Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. When I was a child, my childhood was a luxury my family could not afford. Their dignity was not spared, so my innocence was not spared. I would start screaming, and I would never, ever stop. They were humiliated and traumatized deeply, so I became a nurse to their trauma. Ram, Ram. I would start screaming, and I would never, ever stop. A white woman recently approached me in a public bathroom to inform me that I was now in America. What? And that I didn't have to wear that thing on my head here? Ram, Ram, I would never stop. She was then sitting next to me in a coffee shop, seemingly out of nowhere declared to her daughter that she would never have to be subjugated to any religion that told women they were inferior, and that they had to wear the veil. Her mother wanted to feel superior to an Indian woman she knew nothing about. Ram, Ram, I would never stop. Had she taken the time to ask, she would have come to know that I had research at a DC think tank. I'm an engineer by training. I went to business school and I was appointed as an advisor to the American president. Ram, Ram, God the Father, thy will be done, O Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Never stop. Never, ever stop. It's very hard to survive as a woman of color in this world. And I remember saying that if I ever stopped to really feel the pain of racism that I encountered, I would start screaming. And I would never, ever stop. Then the girl and the man handed out brush after brush after brush. And as the man drew pictures, the girl added color. Then came others. We were all colors. Those who have died, those who have not yet born, those who are still living. Color spread throughout the city. But so did joy. Together, they created something far more beautiful than they'd ever imagined. And for a few moments, I floated, completely calm, and I no longer hated having to exist. Maybe, the girl thought. Just maybe. When you get to a place where the world is your canvas, maybe something beautiful. I see the true colors, true colors, like you.
Okay. Number 6.
In the great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon, and the picture of a cow jumping over the moon, and there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs, and 2 little kittens and a pair of mittens, and a little toy house, and a young mouse, and a comb and a brush, and a bowl full of mush, and a quiet old lady who was whispering hush. Good night, room. Good night, moon. Is there something wrong with you? A loose screw or two that ruin your ability to function? Why are you always so tired? Your life is uninspired and small. All you ever do is sprawl on the couch with outstretched limbs like a sloth in slow motion. Where is your devotion to succeed, Maya? Did it drift out the window with the smoke from your weed? Do I need to force feed you discipline till you finally concede? I cook and I clean until the soles of my feet bleed, but I'm fine. I'm perfect. Be perfect, Maya. Be perfect like me. There's a snail in the door, and there's glass on the lawn, tacks on the floor, and the TV is still on. I always sleep with my guns when you're gone. There's a blade by the bed, and a phone in my hand, and a dog on the floor, and some cash on the nightstand. When I'm all alone, the dreaming stops, and I just can't stand. What should I do? I'm just a little baby. What if the lights go out and then maybe the wind just starts to moan outside the door? He followed me home, so good night, moon. I want the sun. If it's not here soon, I might be done. No, it won't be too soon till I say good night, moon. Serious mental stress is a fact of life for many American teens. In the new survey, 7 in 10 teens say anxiety and depression are major problems among peers, a concern that's shared by mental health researchers and clinicians. American teens have a lot on their minds. Substantial shares point to anxiety and depression, bullying, and drug and alcohol use and abuse as major problems among people their age, according to a new Pew Research Center survey of youth ages 13 to 17. Modern youth have many factors that contribute to these risks of mental health that are new to existence. So, using the story Good Night Moon by Margaret Wise Brown and their edition by Chivalry, as well as the poem Perfect by Maya Mayer, Good Night Moon, a program, because we don't realize how quickly we lose our childhood bliss and how much everyday affairs can burden our teens. There's a shark in the pool and a witch in the tree, a crazy old neighbor, and he's been watching me. And there's footsteps loud and strong coming down the hall. Something's under the bed. Now it's out in the hedge. There's a big black crow sitting on my window ledge, and I hear something scratching through the wall. What should I do? I'm just a little baby. What if the lights go out and maybe then the wind just starts to moan outside the door? He followed me home. So good night, moon. I want the sun. If it's not here soon, I might be done. No, it won't be too soon till I say good night, moon. Stop wearing those god-awful ripped pants and that lipstick like a whore with double D implants. You only get one chance. Stop acting like a cat with 9 lives left. Stop committing yourself to songs and stories and spoken slam in a world where degrees and PhDs impede the need for poetry. And stop chewing on your nails. No wonder you've never attracted any males. Why do you do that? Do you like the taste? Are they sweet? You can't eat sweets, Maya. You are ruining your teeth like you're ruining your life. My teeth are perfect, clean and pristine. They gleam like the golden halo above my perfectly conditioned head. I don't need sugar, Maya. I am above sugar. Why are you down here, Maya? Why are you down here when you need to be up here with the ones with a promising career who listen when information goes in one ear and doesn't come out the other? You'll never be up here, Maya. You act as if the act of listening is a crime, or you would have heard me the 666th time I told you to stop chewing on your nails. Stop chewing on your nails like a goddamn piece of trash. You can't be trash, Maya. You have to be perfect. Be perfect like me. I get up at 5 in the morning every day. I start my day the same way, worried that I'll collapse as my bones start to decay from cleaning up your scraps. And why is your room such a mess? The clothes go in the hamper, Maya, not displayed on your bed like your lack of morals, not littered on the floor collecting more dust than my withered expectations. You disregard my rules with stubborn contempt at a substandard attempt at teenage rebellion, but you can't be a rebel, Maya. You're not interesting enough. You need to obey and say yes and okay. You need to do it with a smile on your less than average face. You need to try harder, Maya. Make it wider, Maya. Why don't you know how to smile? You disappoint me, Maya. You never appreciate what I do for you. You never try to be a winner. And you never eat your dinner. You never eat the dinner that I consistently provide for you as I constantly remind you of the life that I set aside for you. That meal doesn't pay for itself. I don't care if it's ideal. Stop telling me how you feel. You need to eat it. Eat it all. Eat it at a reasonable time, at a reasonable pace with a glass of milk. You need milk, Maya. You need calcium like you need a catalyst for growth. You'll never grow to be tall, Maya. Be tall like me. I drink my milk, Maya. Drink your milk. Be tall. Be perfect. Be perfect like me. You need to pay more attention, Maya. Stop daydreaming, Maya. Stop staring at the ceiling as if your one redeeming quality lies hidden in the plaster. You need to organize your life. Your life is a disaster. Just like your room. Just like your teeth. Just like your future, which will soon come to an end. If you don't put down that pen, you need to stop writing, Maya. Your life is not a book. Don't give me that look. Maya, I am just trying to help you. I am just trying to love you. I'm just trying to love you. You have to let me love you so that you can be perfect. Be perfect like me. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Good night, light in the red balloon. Good night, bears. Good night, chairs. And good night, kittens. Good night, mittens. Good night, clocks. And good night, socks. Good night, little house. And good night, mouse. Good night, comb. And good night, brush. Good night, nobody. And good night, mush. And good night to the old lady whispering hush. Good night, air. Good night, noises everywhere. So what is the lesson here? This is timeless, but especially important in the times we live in. We are so busy, moving at a breakneck pace, and we rarely stop and smell the roses. Thank you.
All right, that is all for today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.